Hello, number ones. Welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and today we are looking at an article that is supposed to tell us about 4 myths about ancient Rome. You know me, they already summoned me with this. Many people still believe. So, the reason why I decided to check this one out is because, it's written by John Cabot University, an American university in the heart of Rome. It's gotta be good. I haven't read it yet. So this one, sometimes I do read them first, and I'm like, oh, this is nonsense. Oh, this is pretty good. And then I feel, but this one, live reaction with you, immediately now, filming it, is the university in Rome. Gonna do it right. It's only 4 myths, so without further ado. Approximately 2,000 years ago, the Roman Empire stretched across vast sections of Europe, Asia, and Africa. And while there is a lot that we don't know about the empire, there are elements of ancient Roman culture and traditions that remain a bit of a mystery. As history and classic students know, getting at the truth can be a tricky business, especially when ancient sources sometimes exaggerate facts or make them up entirely. Yeah, absolutely, that's the case. That's why you need to always look at to really reach the truth, which is absolutely the aim of any historian. Don't let anyone dissuade you from that. But to reach the truth and find the facts, sometimes literary evidence alone is not enough. You need to marry it with material goods, evidence from surrounding cultures, iconography, art, stelae, murals, and whatnot, and see if you can paint a three-dimensional picture. Let's continue. On top of that, some myths about ancient Rome continue to persist even today, despite the fact that we know they just aren't true. Which popular myth do people still believe, and what's the real story behind them? Read on to find out. All right, the first one is Julius Caesar's last words. Classical studies majors known the truth. Yeah, okay, I know where they're going with this one, but it's short, so I'm going to read it. As English lit major know, Shakespeare can take credit for coining many popular and often quoted English phrases. He has authored countless famous lines, including, open quotes, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears, close quotes, and, open quotes, all the world's a stage, close quotes. Yeah. But what students might not know is that Shakespeare's also crafted Caesar's supposed last words. Many people still believe that Caesar's last words were, open quotes, et tu, brute. And then they close quotes, I would add fili me, et tu, brute, fili me, so, and you, brute, Brutus, but in the conjugation that you use when you yell, you scream, my son. Yeah, that's from Shakespeare. They're correct. That's from Shakespeare. But according to historians, that's just not true. If he didn't say anything, it was most likely kai su tekton, which roughly translates to the heartbroken, you too, my child. Yeah, we don't know that one either, to be honest. We haven't got a clue. It's possible that he didn't say anything because he was being stabbed by multiple people. So it's possible that he screamed. The idea of et tu, brute, fili me, it's theatrical, which is perfect for Shakespeare. But imagine someone saying that while he's being stabbed 16 times in a row by 7, 8, 9 people. It's very likely he actually screamed, or maybe, who knows, if they perforated his lungs, which they probably did. It's also possible that he couldn't even do that. Of course, it's also very possible that Caesar was too preoccupied with being stabbed 23 times to craft any clever last word at all. So that's good. We're starting well. That's correct. Now, I absolutely love history, whether it be modern, ancient. I love to learn all sorts of small details about the way our ancestors lived their lives. Even small things such as knowing what type of beds they would sleep in, because it builds a connection, a tether at a human level. Which is why I would like to now take a moment to tell you about the kind sponsor that made this video possible, Flexispot. Since moving to the USA, we changed 3 houses, and one of the most annoying things to do was indeed disassembling and then reassembling our beds. This is why our new Flexispot Japanese joinery bed is perfect, because not only it's sturdy, solid construction, but it's also super easy to put together. Let me show you. Let's go. Alright, so this box contains the bed frame, so I'm going to open it and we're going to assemble it together. This looks great. Look how firm and stable this bed is. No more weird sounds and wiggly builds. This creates a tighter, more stable structure that resists wearing and loosening over time. In contrast, conventional screws and fasteners can loosen over time, with use creating creaking and instability. Now, not only the construction method, but also the type of wood used makes a huge difference in quality. This is rubber wood, which is a kind of hardwood with high hardness and strength. It's a great choice, as it's not easily damaged. The wood is finished with a moisture-resistant and scratch-resistant coating, protecting it from mold and scratches. So what are you waiting for? Click the link below and experience the Flexispot bed frame yourself. Don't miss out and use our exclusive code Metatron for an instant discount. Transform your sleep with comfort, convenience, and unmatched value. And massive thanks to Flexispot for sponsoring my video. Gladiators. Were all of them captured slave men? Ooh, let's see. Popular depictions of gladiators provide us with a Russell Crowe-like image of a rugged and troubled man doomed to an early death in the arena. While it's true that many gladiators were indeed slaves, there were also fighters from other walks of life. Some were even noble Roman women. Yeah, so when it comes to the women, the gladiatrix, extremely rare. Sometimes they weren't Roman, most of the times they were noble. But it is true, there are some complaints about this. I'm fascinated by this because if you remember, the super expert Maximus Simon Elliot, Roman hyper-historian, does not believe that anyone who isn't a slave would ever try to be a gladiator. Super historian is wrong about Rome, because we know that that was a case, and the only reason why he says that is because he's basically trying to say, well, I wouldn't do it. Would you do it? And the answer is yes, they would, if they're from ancient Rome and they are in debt. So there is that. I'm glad they are calling him out without calling him out, but they are calling him out. As you complete your classical studies in Rome, you'll discover many surprising and fascinating facts about life in the ancient empire. You might, for example, learn about gladiatrix. Oh, there we go. Gladiatrix were slaves, members of the lower class, and even aristocratic women looking for a little thrill and fame in the ancient world. Popular gladiatrix, such as Amazon and Aquileia, were sometimes immortalized in marble relief, that's correct, demonstrating that not only did women fight as gladiators, but that spectators celebrated their might and prowess. No, this last part sounds a little bit like you get when you have a historian or an academic, but they also have a feminist agenda. I'm not necessarily attacking anyone who has a feminist agenda, it's their freedom, but that agenda should not enter the realm of academic discourse because it's a political agenda. So the reality is that yes, the Romans absolutely loved, they did celebrate the gladiatrix, but it's not because they were celebrating the might and prowess of them, but it's because they were fighting half naked. So that's why the Romans loved it, because men like what they like. Also, they were something that was kind of special. You wouldn't expect it. So in the Roman martial society, men fight. So to see a gladiatrix would be like, wow, look at that. Like I'm seeing something unusual. Last but not least, do remember that women gladiators only fought against other women gladiators. So it's not a matter of might, it's a matter of spectacle. Because if it was a matter of might and prowess, then they would put the women gladiators against a male gladiator. They never did that because they would be destroyed. Like imagine a woman gladiator fighting a murmillo. Good luck with that. So I disagree with the last part. It seems a little virtual signaling. Let's continue. Vomitoria or vomitoria, not the vomiting chambers many people think they were. You probably see and use a vomitorium while you study history in Italy, but not for the reasons you might think. While many people still believe that ancient Romans, in a grandiose display of gluttony, used vomitoria to regurgitate meals in order to make room for more, vomitoria were actually used for something very different. Yeah, they're an architectural feature. Vomitoria are amphitheater passageways that help many people enter or exit a stadium quickly without causing too much congestion, correct? In fact, the Colosseum has several vomitoria, as do many modern auditoriums, including the Los Angeles Music Center and the Cockpit Theatre in London, England. Yes, so this is very cursory, so let me add a little depth to this. He's absolutely right. The vomitoria is not the place where you throw up or vomit. As he says, it is an entrance or an exit. At the end of the day, the reason why they call it like that is because it does. I mean, the Colosseum is literally, it's an exit, so it is vomiting a lot of people into the streets of Rome, I guess. So, I mean, sure. What we do have to underline, however, they didn't do it here. I would have added, since I understand it's short, but I would have added it. The idea of Roman gluttony and opulence, in the sense that they would eat and then throw up, is still true, though. It didn't happen in the vomitoria, but it did happen in private homes, but it did happen. It's just that it only happens in the upper class. In fact, there are just a few patricians and emperors that are mentioned in the sources by several Latin authors, by the way. And it's always frowned upon and looked as shameful display, a sort of corruption, because it's a waste. So does it happen? Yes. Is it mentioned? Yes. All the regular Romans, do they do it, the population? No. It is only like the riches that are doing it sometimes. Some riches do it. I think Claudius is one of the emperors that is mentioned with this. But it is mentioned in the sources, but it is looked as a bad thing. So the Romans are not thinking, oh, that's so good. No, every author, every historian that speaks about it from the period condemns the upper class and the upper echelon of society that are doing this, because they say it's well, for the same reason you and I would condemn it. We would be like, that's gross, mate. And it's a waste. I would have added that. Cleopatra, ooh, are they going to say she was not black? Are they going to say that? Grandma? Cleopatra, was she really a manipulative temptress? While there is no doubt that Cleopatra was romantically involved with both Caesar, I'm going to say Caesar for simplicity, and Mark Antony. Oh yeah, she had couple of children with Caesar. Many historians dispute the claim that she used her beauty to tantalize and manipulate them. I mean, what, you think she was in love with Julius Caesar? I mean, maybe. I'm not going to completely exclude it, but the guy was powerful, so it was a move, most likely. Maybe she also found him attractive, I don't know, perhaps. I mean, women are attracted by status as well as other things. Well, men, we usually are more attracted by physical appearance. Both are. It's not like women will like a good-looking man, of course, but the status part, I think, plays a higher role than it does for us, because if you give me a woman that is gorgeous and you give me a woman that has status but she's ugly, I'm gonna go for the gorgeous woman. Anyways, if you decided to pursue an art history degree, you might study famous paintings that illustrate a beautiful Cleopatra bedazzling Caesar with her charms, or bewitching Mark Antony when they first met. But you will probably also learn that her reputation as a manipulative temptress, often depicted by Renaissance and later artists, was actually the result of an ancient propaganda campaign. That's fine, but then again, I do believe. I don't know how beautiful she would have been. We do have one statue of Cleopatra. She looks okay. I don't think she was ugly. Some people are pointing this, oh, she was probably ugly. No, I don't think she was ugly. But I also don't think she was like Sydney Sweeney. So I think she was maybe somewhere in between, but a woman that you see and we're like, okay. But then when she's very well dressed, because she was who she was the pharaoh, right? And so with gold, and then she has power behind her, and who knows, maybe she had a personality that was attractive, and then she was very intelligent. She spoke several languages, so she was a woman of culture. So really, she is a lot of things. So would she have used her charms with 100%? That's what women do. She used her charms on both Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Now, whether she did it because she was in love with them, or whether she did it because she wanted to connect herself and her children with powerful men, we have no way to know. They're both possible, but she did use her charms, absolutely. Manipulative, I get it. It sounds a little, I mean, at the end of the day, maybe that's a bit much. Like, why do you say manipulative? No, and it's normal, I think, for a woman to want to make sure that she has children with someone that can provide and is a powerful man. I think it's normal for a woman to want to have children with someone who is powerful, also because she is a woman of power, right? Who's she gonna marry? A farmer? It's not gonna happen. Mark Antony's fellow triumvir, Octavian, needed to stir up public support in order to declare war on his rival. To sway public opinion in his favor, Octavian launched vicious propaganda campaigns, that exploited Antony's romance with the foreign Cleopatra. Antony was depicted as a Roman who had forgotten his roots, abandoned his upright and noble Roman wife, Octavian's sister Octavia. Well, that part is true, though. Like, it is true that they did begin a propaganda campaign, and it's true that Imperial Rome and Republican Rome are really good when it comes to propaganda. They did it a lot. But it is an affair. I mean, the guy did leave his Roman wife, right? So that's yeah, I would say that's not nice to do. I would be thinking of the wife in this case, and plotted to move Rome's capital to Alexandria in Egypt. Yeah. To help cement these claims, Cleopatra was cast as the deadly but irresistible beauty who had corrupted Antony. Yeah, but this doesn't happen in Rome. This does not happen in Rome. This happens later. No one mentions her beauty in classical antiquity. Corrupted Antony and endangered the empire to suit her own selfish interest. To this day, her name is synonymous with decadence, greed, and ruthlessness. Okay, and she was not black. I would like to add that she was, in fact, Macedonian Greek. Anyways, I'll give it a 5. I mean, it's not too bad. There is a little bit, and I'm giving it a 5 because there's a little bit of message in there that is kind of annoying, but it's not too much. I would have given it a little higher, but it's very short. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 5 maybe. In fact, I'm gonna give it a 3 because it's from a university. If I would have given it a 5 if this was freaking, I don't know, an article somewhere on Google, that doesn't matter. But it's from a university in the heart of Rome. I'm going to give it a 2. Sorry. I'm giving it a 2 because of contextual elements to all of this. Anyways, to be fair, I was expecting worse. So at least it's not a 0. Thank you for watching. Ciao, ciao, ciao. I hope you have a great day.